What is up everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing Wave 2 of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. Now, sorry about in my last video I said I would only be a short while until part 2. Yeah, long story short, I changed my phone password, forgot it, and we had to get it fixed, which took a while. But without further ado, let's get on to it. And thanks for 100 subs. I really appreciate it. Yeah, so anyways, this wave, Wave 2, brought us two new cups into the Booster Course Pass DLC. We got the Turnip Cup and the Propeller Cup, with 8 new tracks. In the Turnip Cup we got New York Minute, Mario Kart Circuit 3, Kalimari Desert, and Waluigi Pinball. And in the Propeller Cup we got Sydney Sprint, Snowland, Mushroom Gorge, and Sky High Sundae. So let's first get into New York Minute. So, New York Minute. This track looks amazing. And I can say this is definitely a better start off to Wave 2 than it was to Wave 1 with Paris Promenade. Not that Paris Promenade was bad, but I reckon this one, it's got a lot more life in it. See, there's a lot of colour. I think it's a great adaptation to New York City. I've never been there, but it looks really great, especially in the Mario Kart style that they've been able to put it in. I really like admiring this track, and it's definitely a really fun one to race on. I like how it also got the tour races mechanics in here, where instead of just going on the same lap each time, there are some times in the laps where the tracks actually change, where there are some parts that get barricaded off, some parts that are free. I think that's really cool. I like all the coloured lights you see coming from the windows and the taxis. This really gives us really good vibes of New Donk City from Super Mario Odyssey, since it's supposed to be based off New York City. But nonetheless, this is a great track in my opinion. Central Park looks awesome. The trees do look a little bit generic, but there's nothing that I really have to complain about this. The Goombas are an okay addition. Yeah, there's a lot of life, a lot of colour. I'm pretty happy with how this one looks. So I'd say this one is maybe a 9 out of 10, because I like it a lot. On to the next one. So, here's Mario Circuit 3 from the original Super Mario Kart on the SNES. Now, there isn't really much I have to say about this one. As a whole, I like Wave 2 a lot more than Wave 1, just because there's a lot more variety in it, but I feel like this was sort of just an unnecessary track to add to it. Remember in the previous video I said that the only other Mario Kart game I have is Mario Kart Wii? Well, this track was already remade once for it, so I don't really see what the purpose was for it to happen again. It's still an alright track, but I just reckon there could have been a much better track to take this place, like maybe Toad's Factory from Mario Kart Wii. There's a lot more potential that could have been done with this. I mean, the coloured blocks still have their originality, although it's a completely flat track, so that kind of takes away any excitement. You can see there's a gap and a speed boost, a few cones to dodge, but it's really not that much. So, even though it is still a fun track to race on anyways, I'd probably only give this like a 6 out of 10 because there's really no original idea in it. So yeah, 6 out of 10. And look at this, we've got Kalimari Desert from Mario Kart 64. This track, I'd say I've got around the same opinion on it as I did for Choco Mountain, and I really liked Choco Mountain. This track looks actually amazing. The visuals are really cool. I love how it's set in the desert, yet it still looks really colourful and vibrant. There's a lot of cool details to look at. Even where you go with the train, there's actually even a 64 on it, which you probably did notice, as a reference to Mario Kart 64, or the Nintendo 64. I think that's really cool. And there's quite a good amount of variety in this track as well. I mean, one lap, you're just riding through these desert tracks, but then there's also another one where you actually go into a tunnel with the train, and you gotta dodge it by going on the sides of the railings. It's a really cool and really fun time. I'd say I'd rate this maybe like an 8 out of 10. I guess because it's a desert, there isn't really supposed to be too much vibrant colour, but either way, it's still a great track to race on, and it's a very enjoyable experience. Yeah, so 8 out of 10. Let's move on to Waluigi Pinball. And here we are, Waluigi Pinball from the Mario Kart DS. This looks spectacular. I love how much colour there is in this. It looks so cool and futuristic, yet so classic in the Mario style. I love how this was expressed, and to be honest, This is probably one of the few tracks where I'd be like, I'd go buy a Nintendo DS or 3DS just to get Mario Kart DS and just to play this track. Although, of course, I have the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe version. But still, this is an amazing track. It's such a great idea. A pinball track that's Waluigi themed. I feel a bit sorry for Waluigi since he hasn't had his fair share of games in the past of Nintendo. I mean, like, the only reason he was created was because of Wario being lonely, who I'm racing as. But I think this is a great way to make it up to him. It's so much colour, like I said before, and so exciting. I'd be happy to play on this track anytime, and it's easily my favourite track in the Turnip Cup. There's so much originality to it, and there's a lot of variety in it as well. The fact that there are even pinballs just going around trying to knock you over is so hilarious. The only thing I might have a complaint on is the fact that there aren't really any courses so far in the Booster Course Pass, well, not until Wave 3 or Sky High Sundae, which we'll get into later, that have anti-gravity, which is like the whole gimmick of Mario Kart 8. So, I think that on the actual pinball tracks like here, this is kind of a missed opportunity to have anti-gravity. It probably could have made this just a tad cooler, but other than that, I really have no complaints about Waluigi Pinball. It's a great track nonetheless, and I love it a lot. So I'm going to give this one a 10 out of 10, because it's perfect, really. On to the next one. This looks amazing. The first track in the Propeller Cup is Sydney Sprint from Mario Kart Tour, and I love it. I'm so glad that there's finally a track from Australia in this game. It makes me feel really proud. And I don't really have much to complain about this one either, like Waluigi Pinball. There's a lot of diversity. Of course, the ideas themselves that went into this track obviously weren't that original because they already exist in real life. But that's kind of the beauty of this track, recreating it to be so cool in the Mario Kart style. I think it's really great, and you have to hear the soundtrack to this one. It's great. The saxophone solo goes so wild and it goes so hard. I love this part where we literally ride across the Sydney Harbour Bridge and we can see the Tangara trains, and there's the ramps when you come on the other side. Speaking of which, I also think it's really cool how in the tour gimmick, there are the tracks where sometimes they're barricaded, sometimes they're open depending on... Oh, I just got blue shelled. Sometimes they're barricaded depending on the lap. And what's even cooler is the fact that in this lap, we get to go around what we just did, but backwards, like half of it. Even though we still get to explore a completely new area in here, which we'll be going past, like, Walsh Bay. Yeah, and this place is thriving with colour, vibrance, and there's a lot of variety. It's perfect for the Mario Kart style, and I think they've managed to do a really good job to replicate it. It's really beautiful, in my opinion, and I don't think there's really anything that could be done to make it better, to be honest. So I would also give this track a 10 out of 10, just for its sheer beauty, and even though it's sort of biased, well, it's where I live, but this is a really great track, so if you have the Booster Course Pass, you should definitely play this one. On to the next one. And Snowland from Mario Kart Super Circuit for the Game Boy Advanced. This looks really good as well, to be honest, and it's kind of like the SNES Battle Course 3, except there's actually a good idea involved in it, and there's something about it that stands out. It's winter themed, and it's not just like completely straight tracks that just curve around every few or so meters, but this has a whole layout that's actually unique, and there's this cool part where you skate with the penguins from Mario 64, which is so fun to drop them off the ledge in Snow Mountain. Yeah, I think this track has a great layout. There's even this cool shortcut coming up where you do a ramp on the bridge. I like that they added a bit of originality there as well. But yeah, this is a really good track, and I'd say I'd give this maybe a 9, 8.5 out of 10. I think this deserves. It's obviously not the most unique idea that Nintendo have used, but I think they've managed to make something really good out of it. Or at least they've managed to remaster it really well. So I'm satisfied with the track. Next up. And here is Mushroom Gorge from Mario Kart Wii. The nostalgia here just hits so hard. I love this course. it's got a really unique idea as well. You know, like how the Mario games, or some of them, are set in the Mushroom Kingdom, and this has kind of managed to make like a cool natural landscape made out of mushrooms, and then the whole mechanic of these giant mushrooms, is to bounce off them and do tricks off them. I really like that idea, and I think they've managed to replicate it in a great way in the Booster Course Pass, and I'm definitely satisfied with it. This cave section, as always, is beautiful, all the multicolored crystals, and then this just entire mushroom section here, where there's also a split path so you can choose where you want to go. That adds more variety to it, the level, and it just makes it greater. I love this level, and there's also this cool shortcut you can do here in 200cc, which I'm not doing right now, so I can't make it. Yeah, but I really like this track. It's got a great landscape, it looks beautiful, and there's a really cool and original idea in here. They managed to bring it back great from the Wii, and I'm happy for that. So I'm going to give this one a 9 out of 10. It might be lacking a little bit of detail in some parts, but like, barely anything that could be a complaint. It's more of just a nitpick. So yeah, 9 out of 10 for Mushroom Gorge. Now let's go on to our final track. And Sky High Sundae is our final track of the video and of the wave. This is a very unique track compared to all the others. For one thing, it's the first to have anti-gravity in it, so it actually uses the gimmick that the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Mario Kart 8 actually have. But also, it's the first non-retro track in the DLC, which is pretty cool. And I think that they've managed to make a great idea, and they've managed to implement it really well into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's got a great fit, and there are so many cool and funny ideas they use, like how they use these ice cream tubs to climb up the things, these wafers to do tricks off of as sideways ramps, and then there's also these glass pipes, or plastic, and then we even ride up these flattened ice cream scoops, and we do a full round turn. There's just so much thought that was put into this, and it's so unique in this way, and I just love it for that. It's a really beautiful and stunning track. These ice cube trays that you go off on to do more tricks, and then the fact that the finish line is even inside of this ice cream esky that looks like a diner. I really love this track. It's such a great idea, so much variety, and the vibrant colours. It's cool how you get to do tricks or speed boosts off these rails, that's also cool. But yeah, I really like this track, and I like all the others, except maybe SNES Battle Course 3. But yeah, I am very satisfied with the second wave, and I'm very excited to try out the third wave that comes out tomorrow. So I think that's going to do it for today's video, guys. If you want me to do more content like this, ask me or make suggestions in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And, what else was I going to say? From this point on, I might try to upload consistency. I might try to upload at least once a week with maybe a short, and do a community post as well, because now those are available to me, which is really good. And I'm also planning to maybe do a reaction video to the Mario movie trailers, which I'm definitely going to see next year. It looks amazing. And don't get mad at me, but Chris Pratt is an okay fit in my opinion. He's not the best, but he's okay. Yeah, but that'll do it for today's video. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time, and thanks for 100 subs. Sasha out.